Well, good evening. How is everyone today? I hope that everyone had a great Wednesday, and we are so happy that you are here with us. I have the wonderful pleasure of having Barb from Get Healthy with Barb on the line with us. Barb, you want to say hello?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we are actually here for most of you that have registered and signed up for our What's Next Wednesdays. You know that this is all about more health, more wealth, and more peace of mind. And so we are thrilled to kick this off, our first episode. And tonight we're going to talk about two very important aspects of our well-being, and that is our overall health. And Barb is going to come to us and talk about how to minimize our pain. A lot of us feel pain these days and how to do that without meds. I'm going to talk a little bit about finding a side hustle. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is pass the baton over to Barb, let her get us started. We're going to hold all of our questions until the end of each presentation. So if you've got questions, feel free to put those in the comment box, and we will field those at the end of the presentation. I will let you know that we have a few little giveaways and some surprises at the end. So we want to thank you for joining us tonight, and that's our way of giving out a special thank you. So Barbara, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, girl. So for those of you that joined a minute later, I'm Barbara Gunnells, Get Healthy with Barb, and I'm so grateful that you joined us tonight. I absolutely love sharing some of this information that I'm going to share with you tonight. Actually, I love sharing like 40 times this amount, but I'm going to try to get it in a few minutes for you guys. So before we get forward, think about what made you take time out of your very busy schedule to join us tonight. So what would be better if you were having less pain? Would you be able to do more activities that you sometimes can't participate in now? Would you just be less irritable or maybe miss less work? Or get back to more movement and activity for better health overall? Those were my dreams just over 7 years ago. At that time, I had daily pain and it was undiagnosed. There was no reason for me to have this pain that I was dealing with on a very regular all day long basis. And it was super frustrating because I knew it wasn't in my head. And I knew that if I didn't find a solution, I wasn't going to be able to keep working as a physical therapist. And that's pretty scary if you still have student loans. So I started my journey, and what I found is that in the 90s, the US just started making a lot of changes to how we get our food. And you'll see on the screen just some of the ways that that has happened. And if you think about when we were growing up, really for multiple age ranges, you can still think about when we were growing up. Did we know kids in school that had allergies to food, like everyday regular food? Did we know about or hear of all these diagnoses that are typical household words now that mean chronic pain or daily pain, inflammation, or autoimmune related? And think about the people that you know that already eat healthy. That might be you. And we still have fatigue, and we're tired and sick and tired. Get food intolerances. We still get cancer. We're still having this pain and inflammation. And then if we move to the all popular gut issues, like if you don't have a gut issue, someone very close to you does. It's a pure epidemic in our country right now. So what's all this mean to us? Well, we could go into that, like I said, for many, many hours. But what we want to talk about is pain management. And first of all, acknowledge that it has a lot more to do than with just the foods that we eat. That's the part I'm going to cover tonight in the time that we have. But you also want to realize that managing pain means we need to handle or manage our stress. We need to get appropriate and quality sleep. And we do need to move our bodies to some degree. So tonight I'm going to cover how some of the foods that can contribute to helping our pain or actually contributing to more pain and inflammation. So if we think about overall healthy eating, many of us already know we're supposed to eat at the outside aisles of the grocery store and avoid those inside aisles and choose the more fresh and whole foods, and to avoid the fast foods that are more convenient and really an addiction for so many. Avoid the fried foods, and for many of us, we may or may not know, avoiding the dairy. And then we want to increase our water. So if we just think about those things, that's going to put us on a path to more healthy eating, just in a very general sense. But specifically when we're talking about pain and inflammation and reducing that, there are actually foods that can help reduce the inflammation and that can help contribute to the inflammation. So we've got those on the screen for you. And I'm not going to list each one of those tonight in the essence of time. But I do want to cover two of them specifically in the inflammatory causing category. So if you followed me ever at all, you know that I often talk about high fructose corn syrup. And that's actually a buzzword these days. So we hear a lot about it, but I consider that a triple threat. So you want to think about high fructose corn syrup. It comes from corn, and it's one of the 3 major crops that is highly genetically modified. Again, our bodies don't know what to do with that. The second factor of that high fructose corn syrup is it's empty calories. So it is a sweetener. It's very cheap to manufacture. Americans like sweet, so it's in everything. And the third thing is it's in everything. So triple threat, it's made from corn, which is genetically modified. It is sweet, so it adds calories, which helps us gain weight, which gives us a unhealthy body mass index, so an unhealthy weight or too much fat, either fat we can see or fat around our organs, and that makes us sick and causes inflammation. And then it is in everything. So it's not just in the sugar cereals. It's in the crackers that we eat, most of them, if you look, it's in crackers. It's in so many of the condiments. So luckily these days, the manufacturers know that more of us are aware of that, and we are looking for foods and convenient products and condiments that don't have it in it. But just simple things like ketchup, barbecue sauce, salad dressing. There's even a really yummy pickle at one of the warehouse stores that has high fructose corn syrup in it. So if you haven't been looking for those things, start noticing that on the labels. When we cleaned out our house and we went, no high fructose corn syrup as much as possible, 11 containers went in the trash of different condiments in our refrigerator. So this list here kind of shows, if we were just going to do a quick nutshell, which is what we're doing tonight, some foods you want to try to include, which most of them are not surprising on that list, and some foods that you want to try to avoid or at least drastically reduce, and most of those are probably not surprising. But in general, when you're trying to incorporate that in your already busy life and the way that you're used to preparing food and eating food, and if you're on the run all of the time, it can feel really overwhelming. And it can feel restrictive. Everybody else is eating this and you don't want to eat that because you know it can cause you pain. And it is a lot of work, I'm not going to lie. And you're not going to get overnight results. So there is good news, I promise. But I'm just laying it out there that, this could be, if you're going to adapt this or someone that needs to, it can be a really big lifestyle change. And there is a lot of planning and learning that goes along with it. But like I said, there's good news. So for those of you that are joining us tonight, I am offering a complimentary session to go over some of these things with you and how to fit it in your lifestyle and what works for you and your specific needs. Now you might be wondering if I've been eating like this for 7 years. And thankfully, no, I have not had to eat like this for 7 years. About 10 months into my journey, I was blessed with being introduced to a superfood nutrition system that really helps get all the good stuff in and the bad stuff out, and my body got back in balance. So in less than 2 months, once my body got back in balance, it did its own amazing work, and I no longer have that daily pain. So I learned so much through that journey though, and most of it was the hard way, and without anyone to take me by the hand and help me along, that I really feel like that's my passion, to help other people, either through the full foods or through the nutrition system. So We're going to open it up to questions in just a second here. So if you have a question, just drop that in the chat. Melissa's going to help me with that, so I don't have to squint at my phone to answer those for you. And if you do want to have a complimentary session with me, just put that in the chat as well, or our contact information will be at the end of our presentation this evening when we do our little giveaways. So Melissa, do we have any questions?
Absolutely, we do, Barb. So I've got a question from Michael here. Michael wants to know about coffee specifically. His question is, how do I know if coffee is high quality or not?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so coffee was on the list of anti-inflammatory foods, which may have been a little surprising to some of you. And you want to look for coffee that is organic if you can, and that is not highly processed. So there's actually a multitude of ways that coffee can be processed. You want to look for coffee that is not touched by human hands once the beans are picked, because that contributes to mold, and that has more food sensitivities along with that.
We've got another one, Barb. We'll take a couple more questions, so keep them coming. If we don't get to all of the questions, we'll answer them at the end of the session, or we'll send out responses with a full list of questions and answers. But one question comes in from Kristen. She wants to know, what happens when we eat GMOs?
So that could be one of our week-long conversations. But in short, our body's whole job, besides breathing and heart beating, is to protect us. And so when we ingest those genetically modified ingredients, or GMOs that we talked about earlier, like high fructose corn syrup, the insecticides in the seeds of soy and corn, the antibiotics, all of the things that are kind of man-made to give us more food for less money, our bodies don't know what to do with that. And our body's job is to protect us. So it is going to encapsulate that toxin that it considers the GMO in fat to protect us. And then that fat is going to hang out around all of our organs. So whether you can see the fat or you can't see the fat, if we're getting a lot of that and we don't have some sort of system in place to get rid of those toxins, and don't forget, we're inundated with toxins by more than just food. But we're talking about the GMOs. It's surrounded in fat, and that hangs out around our organs, and that contributes to inflammation and illness.
Great. We've got one more, time for one more, I think. This question, I'm not sure I understand. So if you need to add more commentary in the comment box, let me know, or we can unmute you. But it says, tell me where I find more information on the superfood system.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So when I mentioned that 10 months into my journey, I found a superfood nutrition system. It just simplified my life. It saved all that time shopping at multiple places, getting the right ingredients, cooking and cleaning up. And so that is actually a product and a company that I am aligned with. It's an international health and wellness company. And so you're just going to touch base with me through the contact info that we present at the end, and I can send you some information.
Great. Well, thanks, Barb. I know that you've got so much more to share. I met Barb, just so that everybody knows on the line, I met Barb, I guess it's been about 5 or 6 months ago. And I am just every day amazed at all the information she gives to me. And I thought that I knew a lot about health and wellness, but she's always teaching something new. So we're really thrilled to have you. Thanks so much, Barb. I think it's time that we transition to another side of health and wellness. If you guys
absolutely. So just so you guys know, Melissa is a wealth of knowledge as well. And I feel super blessed that we get to collaborate to help people in different ways. So now that we're all feeling healthier and happier, and we can make more money, and we will have more need to manage the financial important part of our lives, Melissa's going to share some awesome info about financial health.
What a great introduction. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to talk about financial. One of the things that I think we've always said, or at least I've always said, is I always need more money. It doesn't matter how much I have, I'm always needing more. I either have an emergency that comes up or another want, which we all have those. And then we have this horrible thing that has been looming over our head for the last couple of months that has really caused us to stop and take note. What are we doing? Are we financially stable? Do we have security? Do I need more money? So I think it's safe to say that we're all looking for what I call the ultimate side hustle. I think back in the beginning, early days of my life when my kids were young, I had 2 or 3 side gigs at any point in time. One time I was cleaning houses. I even was a process server. So I would put my kids in the back of my car and I'd go serve divorce papers to somebody and call it a day. So whatever I could to just earn a buck. But I think the important thing is that every dime, no matter how small, really adds up. And so we're going to talk about that. But what I want to start to encourage you to think about today is not a side hustle as a job, but I'd like to encourage you to think about a side hustle as really a way to gain leverage toward goals, toward things that you need. And maybe that goal is just paying your bills. Maybe it's just, I've got to pay that light bill. I've got to, put food on the table. And that's okay if that's your goal. But then there are other goals that we have as well. And so I want you to start to think about side hustles as really something much bigger than just earning a paycheck. So I'm going to share my screen here real quickly. I want to show you, I'm just going to drill down and we're going to get to the end of this presentation at the very beginning. And I'm going to tell you exactly what the 3 tips are. The 3 tips that I have for side hustles are really very simple. And now I want you to bear with me because I get pushback on this all the time. A side hustle, in order to have a good side hustle, you've got to know your purpose. You've got to know your values, but most importantly, you want your money to work for you. You never want to work for your money. So those are the 3 tips. And people say, well, Melissa, that's all great. Why do I need to know what my purpose is? What does that have to do? There are so many jobs out there today. There's so many things that I can do to earn a buck. Why is it important to know what my purpose is? So I'm going to tell you why it's important. The reason that it's important to know what your purpose is, think of it this way. Let's say that you're saving your money for retirement, or maybe you're saving your money for a purchase, a car. Maybe you need to have a car, a new car. It's time for that. Or maybe you really do just want to have money for your bills. Those different purposes will dictate what your side hustle is. So a great example that I can use is a client that I worked with about 6-7 months ago, and they actually wanted to take a big family vacation, and their goal was to take their family across country, but they didn't have the money to do that, not at least, easily. They'd have to put it on their credit cards. They didn't want to do that. So what they did is they went to an RV manufacturer, got hired to move an RV across the country, had their meals paid, took their cross-country vacation that they wanted, and that met their goal. So that was a side hustle for them. So, keeping in line with that, really what your purpose is really will dictate what you do. So all throughout this presentation, I want you just to keep an open mind. Start to think about, can I actually have a side hustle that will allow me to do something I want to do without having to invest money? So maybe that's just that you want to make more purchases. Maybe you want to download the Honey app and you want to use Honey and you want to get cash back. Maybe you want to invest $1 in the stock market and you want to use one of those apps, and there are lots of those out there, and I talk about that throughout any meeting that I have with a client. We look for ways to meet their goals specifically. But notice that the second item, or the second tip that I talked about, was really what's your value? What are your values? Why are values important when we talk about our side hustle? Here's why. Let's say that you're a mom and you have young children, and we love to go to those events with our kids. We love to go to dance recitals and ball games, and maybe those will start back up again and we'll get back in the swing of things. But maybe you just want to stay home and spend time with your spouse or your significant other. Whatever the case may be, what your values are will set you up for success or not when you're looking at a side hustle. So as an example, going back to being a parent, wanting to go to those dance recitals or wanting to go to those events with your kids, if you have a job that takes all your time on the weekends and you're not able to go to those dance recitals, what do you think is going to happen when you get ready to go to work? you're not going to be motivated. You're not going to be set up for success. So you want to find things that are going to complement those values. So I think, for example, when my kids were young and I became a process server or I cleaned houses, the reason I did that is so that my kids could come with me. So maybe you want to grocery shop for people. Maybe you want to be a personal assistant online so you can do that from home. Whatever the case may be, look for things outside of the ordinary. It's very easy just to go online and say, oh, I can do telemarketing. Oh, I can do, I can go out there and post on social media sites and be a marketing manager. Whatever the case may be, look for things that are going to complement not just your goal, but your values and how you like to work and what you want as well. Now, I told you that the third tip was not to to have your money work for you, not to work for your money. So what do I mean by that? I'm a big believer that you can have your money work for you. A couple of ways that you can do that are through things like affiliate programs. And as you know, affiliate programs are those programs where companies will pay to have people actually recruit or refer clients to their products or services, and then there's a revenue share that takes place. And so you would continue to get money every time that a person is referred. I particularly subscribe to one of these where I go out, I have a code, I pass that on to my friends, my family, post it on social media, I sit back, I don't do any of the work, and I get money for that. There's also residual income. Now, I always say you want to have residual. That means income that continues over and over, and you want it to be passive. So passive means you're not doing anything. It's working for you. So in the case of the affiliate program, I'm posting those links. People are going out. Each time they sign up, I get $5 in my bank account. That's passive. But then residual, I have another organization I subscribe to. It's a membership group. Every time I refer someone, I get a very small percentage of that membership, but it's a monthly membership. So it's residual. It continues and it continues. And so the important thing here is to find things that are going to work for you, that are going to be passive, and that are going to increase your solid standing so that you feel safe and secure, but also it will support your values. A couple of other things that I've had clients do. I had one client that worked with a new restaurant in town, and they actually drove around town with a magnetic sign on their car advertising the new restaurant. So very simple, didn't cost them anything. They just had to drive around with the sign. Think of things like that, and don't be afraid to go out and ask for those opportunities. Opportunities are not always presented to you and tied up in a bow. One of the things that I've done recently is started selling things online. So you go to a construction site where people are rehabbing homes. They'll take that stuff and they'll take it to the dump. They'll take it to Habitat for Humanity. If you'll haul that away for them, I actually sold all the items that were in this home. I made $1,000 and I did that in 3 days. So the moral to this story is that no matter what you do, no matter what you're spending, what decisions you're making, they're either going to work for you or not. So take the time to step back and see if those decisions, if those choices are working for you, and look outside of your box. So don't look at what everyone else is doing. Find things that are going to work for you. So typical things that we think of are those jobs where you're working hour after hour. Outside of the box things are affiliate programs. Outside of the box things are, how do I save money? How do I drive an RV across town? How do I just use my car for daily routine things and then get paid to do so? Those are the kinds of things that are going to yield high returns because you're not having to work for it. It's working for you. Now, just like Barb, one of the things I want to do is offer anyone that's taken the time to listen to this presentation the opportunity for a side hustle strategy session with me. So we sit down for about 30 minutes and we walk through all of your needs and wants. And then I'm also, just for sitting in on this presentation, I'm going to provide everyone a side hustle directory with a list of things that you might not even know existed. one of which I recently fell into, watching Netflix and getting paid to do so. So I'll tell you all those things in that directory free of charge. I just want you to be a success. So with that, I don't know, do we have any questions, Barb?
We absolutely do. So first question is, how do you know if what you're looking at is a scam?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's an even better question now with everything happening. The pandemic has brought out all these crazies. The first sign that you're looking at something that it's a scam is if they're asking for money, and you get that all the time. Another thing is if it involves anything with money. So for example, mystery shoppers, that's a great one. They'll send you a check, tell you to deposit it into your bank account. You deposit it, and then they say, we'd like you to send us some money back just to make sure the process worked correctly. You can use the rest of the money for shopping. By the time the bank figures out it's a fraudulent check, you're having to pay for that fraudulent check, and the scammer has already gotten the money. So that's the first tip. There are other signs that you want to look for. Always look for reviews. So we can talk more about that, but look for things that are tried and true would be my best advice.
Okay, awesome. Second question from Debbie. Should you start with a big purpose or a small purpose and goals?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So when you're looking at your purpose, what's important is to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And remember that adage, just one step in front of the other. So I always tell people, let's start with something small so that we can feel good about ourselves, but always keep that larger goal out ahead of us. And then check in and have milestones so that you know you've been successful along the way.
Awesome. All right. Do we have time for one more?
I think we do. We've got about 3 more minutes, so we can take one more question.
Great, great. Okay, so these are all great ideas, but how do you go about finding a sidekick?
Ooh, that's a really great question. And so actually it's a very easy question though, because if you go out on the internet, they are plastered everywhere. But I will tell you, I am a big proponent of sharing information, and you talk to your friends and your family, they're going to know things. Look at the MLMs nowadays. Everybody has some really great product. So I have a lot of friends that sell amazing things. They can help you get into that. I have other people, they want someone to set for their dogs, or to babysit, or to watch their house, or to mow their lawn. There's always things out there. So I always recommend you go to friends and family first, but you can always do an internet search. And remember, I'm going to send out that side hustle directory that I think should give you some tips you hadn't thought about.
That's a good one. All right, awesome. That's all the questions we have so far.
All right, great. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I appreciate it. We've got just such wonderful people, high achievers, business people. We're going to do this every Wednesday night. Next week, we've got a very exciting guest speaker. I'm super jazzed about this. Her name is Sarah. Sarah Irvin is from, actually, she's originally from Tennessee. She's here in our little town of Aiken, South Carolina right now. But she is the owner and founder of Powerhouse Coaching. She's got a wonderful presentation that she's going to deliver. And then we're also going to talk about how to speak with power and influence. And I think that's so important in today's world. We really want to be credible and present credible information. So I'm actually going to share our screen before we go, because I want to leave you with our contact information so you can get in touch with us if you need to. So thank you so much again for being with us. Our contact information is on the screen there. Feel free to reach out. Again, we're going to send out a couple of incentives.
Melissa,
thank you.
It's your desktop. It's not the info.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we certainly don't want that. Let's share this.
You do have a very pretty desktop.
Thank you so much. That's the beach. I love the beach.
There we go. That
There we are. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
How's that? All right. Anything you want to leave us? Any parting pearls of wisdom, Barb?
We're both offering those complimentary sessions. There's our contact info. I'm pretty much everywhere as Get Healthy with Barb, and you can follow me for more tips and can follow you for more tips. We both have some pretty great stuff on our medias.
All right.
That's about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.